February 28, Tehran. The joint US-Israeli bombing campaign that jolted not only Iran but the whole of West Asia. It was the most ambitious attack on Iranian targets in decades. Iranian state media announced Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei's death early on Sunday. A senior Israeli official said the Iranian leader's body had been found after a strike. Now that's the satellite image of the compound of Ali Khamenei before the strikes. And this satellite image is of the destroyed compound after the strikes that killed Khamenei. US President Donald Trump said the United States worked closely with Israel to target the man who led Iran since 1989. But how was this made possible? How did Israel and the US know the exact location of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei before he was killed? How was Khamenei tracked down? Was his surveillance a days-long, or weeks-long, or months-long, or years-long operation? Did Israel's foreign intelligence unit Mossad have a key role in zeroing in on Khamenei's exact location? And were other agencies at work too? Let's connect the dots. See this report by Financial Times. It details how Mossad's operatives zeroed in on Khamenei. It quotes one current Israeli intelligence official as saying, "Long before the bombs fell, we knew Tehran like we know Jerusalem. And when you know a place as well as you know the street you grew up on, you notice a single thing that's out of place." So that's how well Israelis on the job knew Tehran. So how did they know Tehran and the whereabouts of its power core so well that they could assassinate the highly protected Ali Khamenei? It was an years-long intelligence campaign that paved the way for his assassination. Traffic cameras across Tehran were compromised for years by hackers. They monitored the bodyguards and drivers of top Iranian officials. Footage was encrypted and sent to servers located in Tel Aviv and southern Israel. For instance, one camera captured the parking spots of these men's personal vehicles, revealing everyday details about the operations inside the heavily secured compound. Detailed dossiers were compiled on these security guards, including their home addresses, work schedules, commuting routes, and the specific officials they protected and transported. Yet, that was not the sole method Israel and the CIA used to pinpoint exactly when 86-year-old Khamenei would be in his offices that fateful Saturday morning and who would accompany him. Israel jammed roughly a dozen mobile phone towers around Pastia Street, the site of Khamenei's assassination. And what was the effect? The guards' phones rang out as calls came in, preventing them from receiving any potential warnings. So who all worked behind the scenes on this surveillance? Israel's elite signals intelligence unit 8200, human resources recruited by its foreign intelligence service Mossad, and its military intelligence directorate Aman, which processed vast data volumes into daily intelligence summaries. Israel employed social network analysis, a mathematical technique that dissects billions of data points to uncover unexpected decision-making hubs and pinpoint new surveillance and elimination targets. Although Ali Khamenei was the highest profile target, Israel has long been linked to assassinations of nuclear scientists, chemical engineers, and militant leaders over the years. For decades, Israel has leveraged its technological and technical expertise to achieve strategic advantages. During the 12-day war in June 2025, Israel's intelligence dominance was evident as more than a dozen Iranian nuclear scientists and senior military officials were killed within minutes. Iran's air defenses were also neutralized through a mix of cyber attacks, short-range drones, and precision strikes launched from beyond its borders. But at that time, Israel made no apparent effort to strike Khamenei directly, focusing instead on Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps leadership missile systems and stockpiles, nuclear sites, and key scientists. Now, coming back to the latest attack on Khamenei, reports indicate that the attack on Iran was planned months in advance, but officials modified their operation after US and Israeli intelligence verified that Khamenei and his top officials would convene at his Tehran compound that pivotal Saturday morning. While previously, tracking specific targets demanded extensive effort that involved visual verifications and sorting out deceptive signals, Israel's expansive algorithm-powered data gathering had streamlined this process in recent years. For a target of Khamenei's value, there was no scope for error. Israeli military protocol requires that two independent senior officers operating separately confirm with strong assurance the target's presence at the strike location and their companions. Reports state that in this case, Israeli intelligence drew from signals intelligence. That includes the compromised traffic cameras and infiltrated mobile networks showing the Khamenei meeting proceeding as planned with senior officials en route. But the US had something more definitive, a human source, as per those reports. Once the CIA and Israel confirmed Khamenei would hold a meeting that Saturday morning at his Pasteur Street offices, the opportunity to eliminate him along with other top Iranian leaders proved particularly ideal. They judged that pursuing them after full-scale war erupted would prove far more challenging, as the Iranians would swiftly adopt countermeasures like retreating to bomb-proof underground bunkers. Unlike his ally Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah, who spent years in subterranean hideouts evading multiple Israeli kill attempts until September 2024, when jets unleashed up to 80 bombs on his Beirut hideout, Khamenei did not live in seclusion. He had openly contemplated his own death in public, downplaying his life as irrelevant to the Islamic Republic's survival. Some Iran specialists even noted he anticipated martyrdom. Yet reports suggest that even in wartime, he adopted certain safeguards, making it atypical for him to skip his two known bunkers. At 3:38 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, Trump, while aboard Air Force One en route to Texas, authorized Operation Epic Fury, the US-led strikes against Iran. The US military paved the way for Israeli jets to target Khamenei's compound through cyber attacks. According to General Dan Kane, who is the chair of the US Joint Chiefs of Staff, these operations disrupted, degraded, and blinded Iran's capacity to detect, communicate, and react. With US intelligence support, the Israel Defense Forces hit Khamenei's compound. Israeli aircraft, airborne for hours to reach the precise spot on schedule, reportedly unleashed 30 precision-guided munitions on the complex. Conducting the strike in daylight rather than darkness provided a tactical edge to Israel, enabling surprise despite Iran's robust defenses. Now let's rewind 25 years to when Iran emerged as Israel's top priority. In 2001, Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon directed Mossad chief Meir Dagan to prioritize Iran, even as the agency was grappling with threats from Syria, Palestinian militants, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and more. Since then, Iran has remained Mossad's primary focus. Israel reportedly disrupted Iran's nuclear program, eliminated its scientists, countered its proxies, and targeted military assets of its key ally Syria following Bashar al-Assad's ouster. But Iranian intelligence agencies were no pushover. They proved to be tough opponents. In 2022, a group linked to Iranian security services leaked data allegedly stolen from the Mossad chief's wife's phone. During the 2025 war, Iran hacked Jerusalem's CCTV cameras for live damage assessments that Israel had allegedly suppressed from the media. Iran also acquired missile defense photos and charted a prominent politician's jogging path by bribing Israeli citizens, as per Israeli prosecutors. Another key incident was the October 7, 2023 Hamas cross-border assault, which Israel attributes to Iranian support. This shift altered Israel's long-held strategic approach. Assassinating enemy heads of state during wartime was no longer taboo. Targeting foreign leaders carries not just a political stigma but immense operational risks. Failure elevates their legend, as seen in the CIA's repeated failed plots against Cuba's longtime leader Fidel Castro, while success risks unleashing unforeseen turmoil. Israel boasts a record of intelligence triumphs, including the 2024 killing of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran, and a $300 million multi-year covert effort rigging thousands of Hezbollah pagers and radios with explosives. The full details of the recent operation could remain classified forever in order to shield ongoing sources and tactics. To judge by past precision strikes on elite targets, Israel will undoubtedly keep leaning on its high-stakes spycraft for big payoffs. West Asia is burning. What began on February 27 as coordinated military action by the United States and Israel has quickly spiraled into a wider confrontation. Iran has responded with retaliatory strikes, including attacks on US bases in countries like Qatar and Oman. Missile and drone strikes have also targeted ships and energy facilities across the Gulf, from the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia to Bahrain and Kuwait. But as tensions rise across the region, global eyes are fixed on one narrow stretch of water, and that is the Strait of Hormuz, the world's busiest oil shipping channel. Iran says it will set fire to any ships trying to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Usually, about 20% of global oil and gas passes through the narrow shipping lane in the Gulf. But Iran's General Sardar Jabari said that Tehran will now not let a single drop of oil leave the region. So what exactly is the Strait of Hormuz, and why does it matter so much? The Strait of Hormuz is one of the world's most critical shipping routes. We will show you the map here so that you can understand just how strategic this location is. On the map, it appears as a narrow passage between Iran to the north and Oman and the United Arab Emirates to the south. It connects the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea. At its narrowest point, it is barely 33 kilometers wide. Yet, through this small corridor flows a massive share of the world's energy supply. Every day, some of the world's largest oil tankers pass through these waters. According to estimates from the US Energy Information Administration, roughly 20 million barrels of oil move through the strait daily. This means energy trade worth hundreds of billions of dollars each year. Oil from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar and the UAE depends heavily on this route to reach global markets. And it's not just oil. Liquefied natural gas shipments, especially from Qatar, also pass through this waterway. Now, even without a formal physical blockade, the situation has changed dramatically. While there is no physical blockade, threats from the Iranians plus drone and missile attacks mean tankers are not going through the strait. The impact has been immediate. Brent crude briefly crossed $82 per barrel after multiple ships were attacked near the strait. Around 150 tankers have reportedly been left stranded. Shipping data shows that daily traffic through the strait has fallen sharply, with hundreds of vessels waiting on either side. So in effect, it is de facto closed. No one dares to go through. You can be attacked and you cannot get insurance, or it is extremely expensive, so you have to wait until the security situation is better. Freight rates are rising fast. According to data from the London Stock Exchange Group, the cost of hiring a supertanker from West Asia to China has nearly doubled in just days, crossing $400,000. War risk insurance premiums have also surged. Chinese shipping and logistics conglomerate COSCO Shipping's container liner unit said it had suspended all new bookings for routes to and from ports in West Asia region, including those in the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. This is no longer just a regional crisis. It is now a global one. About 82% of the crude oil that passes through the Strait of Hormuz is destined for Asian markets. China, India, Japan and South Korea are among the largest buyers. China alone is estimated to purchase nearly 90% of Iran's oil exports. And when oil prices rise, the effects ripple through every economy.
The reason why gas prices are being impacted so quickly happens to be because of volatility. Markets really react badly when you have a really stressful type of a situation, especially when you have an oil-rich area, as the Middle East happens to be. The Strait of Hormuz, for example, transporting, I should say, back and forth about 20% of the world's oil supply on a daily basis in tankers. And when you have such a volatile situation creating an impact on the oil infrastructure itself, potentially, that's where you start running into that moment of nervous jitters that causes the markets to react.
Asian markets are already feeling the strain.
The reason why Japan and South Korea's shares are falling so much is because Asian countries are the largest importers of West Asian crude oil. This phenomena is likely a consequence of this. Therefore, if the war is prolonged, South Korea's real economy itself will inevitably collapse. That, I think, is the biggest problem we can face. About 71% of South Korea's energy imports come from West Asia, but about 99% of that come through the Strait of Hormuz. If the Strait of Hormuz were to become impassable and any problems arise, and considering that South Korea currently has 21 days worth of reserves, if the supply were to be suspended for even a month, the real economy would be completely devastated.
Europe is worried too.
This is, of course, damaging our economies. This is true for the oil prices and this is true for the gas prices as well. So that's the reason why we all hope that this war will come to an end as soon as possible.
For India, the Strait of Hormuz is equally critical. Nearly 40 to 50% of India's crude oil imports typically pass through this route. India's Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister Hardeep Singh Puri has said there is no immediate cause for concern regarding fuel supplies. The ministry has stated that India's strategic petroleum reserves, along with existing stocks, could provide coverage for up to 74 days if required. A 24/7 control room has been set up to monitor supplies. An interministerial group is also reviewing trade logistics to safeguard essential imports and exports. State-run refiners such as Indian Oil, HPCL and BPCL have reportedly increased LPG output at select facilities to manage any potential disruption. Still, the longer the strait remains unsafe, the greater the pressure on global supply chains. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have declared that the strait is under their full control and warned vessels not to transit. Under international law, countries control territorial waters up to 12 nautical miles from their coast. At its narrowest point, shipping lanes fall within the territorial waters of Iran and Oman. Military analysts say Iran could use fast attack boats, submarines, or even naval mines to disrupt traffic. But any sustained closure risks military escalation. The United States has previously escorted tankers through these waters, most notably during the tanker war phase of the Iran-Iraq conflict in the 1980s. President Donald Trump has indicated that the U.S. Navy could again escort oil tankers if necessary.
If we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before.
There are alternative routes. Saudi Arabia operates pipelines that can move crude to ports on the Red Sea. The UAE has a pipeline to Fujairah on the Gulf of Oman. But these routes cannot fully replace the volumes that pass through the Strait of Hormuz. A prolonged disruption could remove millions of barrels per day from global markets. Now, history gives a reminder. And this is not the first time the world has faced such a moment. Oil shocks in the 1970s triggered global recessions and reshaped energy policies for decades. Today, The Strait of Hormuz is once again at the center of geopolitical tension. The world is watching. What happens next in this narrow stretch of water could definitely decide the direction of the global economy. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you next week with more raging issues. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Munmun Bhattacharya signing off. Take care and stay safe.